Are you a commercial microgreen grower looking to take your business to the next level? Look no further than Modern Grower for all your seed needs. At shop.moderngrower.co, we offer an extensive range of top-quality organic microgreen seeds, including popular varieties like sunflower, pea, broccoli, radish, and many more. But what sets our seeds apart? It's our unwavering commitment to quality and your success. Every batch of our seeds undergoes rigorous pathogen testing, ensuring you're working with the cleanest, safest products available. We're proud to offer 100% organic seeds, perfect for growers committed to sustainable and natural practices. And let's talk about results. Our seeds boast industry-leading germination rates, meaning more consistent crops and less waste for your business. Plus, we understand that growing is both an art and a science. That's why we offer advanced technical support to help you troubleshoot any issues and optimize your production. At Modern Grower, we believe in providing the best for less. That's why we offer competitive pricing without compromising on quality. Your success is our success. Ready to elevate your microgreen game? Visit shop.moderngrower.co today and use code PODCAST at checkout to save 10% on your next order. That's shop.moderngrower.co, promo code PODCAST. Grow better, grow modern with Modern Grower.
So when you set out about to do this and you isolate the single microbe, there's two potential paths I see here. Is one, you look for a microbe that can survive out in the wild and is receptive to taking on the traits that you want it to take on. In this case, it's nitrogen fixation. So you take that existing microbe and you build nitrogen fixation onto it. Another pathway could be you take a nitrogen fixing microbe, rhizobia, and instead of having it bond with just certain plants, you now essentially open up its filter or its lens, and it can now bond with other plants that aren't just legumes. Is there one path that is more likely, or is there a third path that I'm not seeing?
No, I think in the case of the nitrogen fixation, I think in simple terms, those are sort of the two paths that you have. If you think about what the characteristics are of what we call a chassis or host microbe, some of the ones you mentioned, it needs to be stable in the environment. It needs to be tractable or easily engineered. But the other critical one for us is it needs to colonize and associate with the plant. And so if you think about the ideal nitrogen fixation product for corn, okay, it would be applied to the corn as a seed treatment. Right, that's by far the most effective way to apply a new solution to a crop like that, where you've already got a lot of the farmer has already invested heavily in acquiring that corn seed from either Bayer or Corteva, two of them, right? That you get it, and it's already been optimized from a genetic standpoint, from a hybrid corn breeding standpoint, and then if you can put a seed treatment on it that provides additional benefit, in this case, a nitrogen-fixing microbe. If you can put it on, when that grower goes to plant the corn, which he's going to do, that microbe, that nitrogen fixation solution is already on the seed. Now, what that microbe has to do then is, as that seed germinates, as it's in the soil, as it goes into the soil and as it germinates, ideally, you want a microbe that associates with the entire corn plant through its entire life cycle, right? And will grow and populate that plant, colonize it in a symbiotic way. So, you might say, well, are there microbes that do that? And the answer is absolutely, right? There are microbes who form symbiotic relationships, and they get something that they need from the corn and vice versa, right? And that microbe can be providing things, signaling or providing things back to the corn plant. So what we're looking for, one of the things we're looking for ideally is sort of a combination of what you mentioned, which is start with some microbes that already have some of the nitrogen fixing machinery in them. Make some adjustments to it, because one of the things that happens in those microbes is that they will typically they have mechanisms that when there's plenty of nitrogen around, they shut off. And so what you want that nitrogen fixing microbe to do is not shut off its nitrogen fixation, but actually ramp it up. And so you actually have to do some engineering to make that happen. The other part of this, and I mentioned life cycle of the corn, if you're a corn grower, the biggest benefit of a product like this, of a new solution like this, would be if it can deliver the nitrogen in the second half of its life cycle. Because that's when it takes up most of its nitrogen. If you think about a corn, it's the corn plant, it's growing up, it's in that second half of its growth period that it's actually producing the corn, and that's when it uses about 70 to 80% of its nitrogen. However, if you think about, well, when did the fertilizer get applied? Way back before when it was planted, right? So that's why they have to put on. That's one reason why the levels of synthetic fertilizer are as high as they are, because they have to try to last in the soil through that whole growing season. So if we can get a microbe that fixes the nitrogen, colonizes the corn plant via a seed treatment, right? Then and it goes through the lifetime, it can be fixing and delivering nitrogen in that second half of the growth cycle. And that's ideal for the grower, because now he doesn't have to rely on putting so much on in the beginning, and he doesn't have to worry about having to go back out if he needs to and reapplying nitrogen to make sure he's got the right amount of nutrient there to optimize his yield or his productivity per acre.
And I just from reading the nitrogen fixation process in a plant, it's very carbon intensive. In order to do that, given that, do you have to modify the carbon flow of a corn plant so it feeds those microbes what they need to do that conversion? I don't think you can get just a free lunch, right, where they fix nitrogen. They're not taking anything back. So do you need to change something within the corn to now deliver surplus carbon in the form of sugars to really get that pump going?
I think it's a good question. To be honest, I don't think we know exactly how it's going to work in a successful. So one of the things we're looking at is exactly that. Are there microbes that are out there that have that relationship already in place, or that can, in theory, can form that symbiotic relationship with the corn? And so part of the studies and assays that we do is identifying what we call endophytic bacteria, ones that are inside, will exist inside the plant, and not just on the roots or not just in the soil, but can they actually populate the entire plant, that actually will be getting nutrients or getting something beneficial from that corn plant, right? Such that they're actually incented, or they actually do colonize over an extended period of weeks and even a couple of months. That's what we're looking for. And so for us, because this is new, because people haven't really gone out there and tried to find chassis or hosts that do the colonization and also can be reasonably engineered in the lab, a big part of our initial work is identifying as many of these potential hosts or chassis as we can.
Hello, growers. Looking to turn your homestead into a profitable business? Or are you a farmer looking to boost your sales? Check out my book, Sell Everything You Grow. This book is the ultimate guide to choosing the right farm business model that fits your farm, time, and location. Discover which model has the highest profit margins and why diversification is so important. Whether you're selling apples, vegetables, or microgreens, Sell Everything You Grow will help you find your first market or expand into new ones. Get Sell Everything You Grow on Amazon and start selling more today.